In Africa, over 200 million people are aged between 15 and 24. That is the youngest population in the world. The age group, according to the African Economic Outlooks, is expected to double in number by 2045. Low profitability, poor security of land tenure, and high risks are just some of the reasons Africa's youth are leaving rural areas to seek jobs in cities. The migration is said to be the start of what might be the shortage of African farmers in the future. For many African countries, agriculture is one of the biggest economic sectors, generating broad economic development and providing much of the population with food. This poses a great threat towards the future of farming and to meeting the demands of a rapidly growing urban population. Growing youth unemployment, aging farmers, and declining crop yield under traditional farming inclines that there is a need to engage youth in agriculture. This, therefore, should be priority. We meet up with Alphaxed Gitau, a young man who's as passionate about youth development as about addressing food security in urban farming.
My name is Alphaxed Gitau. I'm a young farmer. I am into dairy and poultry production. So I do broilers for meat, purely chicken meat. I do also cows for milk. This is in Kiambu County. I'm currently doing cows for milk.
Alphaxed grew up in a farming family, and for most part of his adolescence, he reared rabbits and attended to the livestock keeping his family did. The farming bug bit him early on, but it was not until much later that Alphaxed saw that he could turn farming into a money-minting enterprise.
And this began 3-4 years ago, and it's been growing over and over again for that period. First of all, I've been brought up in a farming family, so really I grew into it and I really liked it and I really loved it. But then at some point I was looking for opportunities for business, and having been brought up in a farming family and having known that indeed food is on high demand, I decided to go into farming. So I started actually with chicken, around 300 birds by that time, which has been growing over and over again. And then after a year, I started dairy farming as well with one cow, and that is in 2014. Yeah.
The process of starting was one of the most challenging things for Alphaxed. There were so many issues to look at, including how to get capital.
Yeah, so first things first, I think when you're venturing into agriculture, it's very capital intensive. That's number one, and it's very patience. It needs a lot of patience. So I started with one cow, but then it has given birth to a number of them. But then over and over time, I have also invested more money by buying more cows. So indeed, you need some kind of investments to start off. Even with the construction, with everything that is done here, we need more money to actually do it. I started with my own savings when I was in campus. So over and over again, I've been able to, when I get profits, then I plow them back. So you need to actually make sure that you actually are getting profits, or you're actually making profits from your farming venture, because it really has to be a business, not just farming for the sake of farming. With cows, then you need to, number one, you need to make sure that you actually have enough fodder for your cows before you even start. And you don't need to start big. I think that's one thing that young people need to know. You don't need to start big, because if you can't manage one cow, you can't manage 10 of them. It's the same art. So you need to learn the ropes with time of managing cows and being able to do proper profit kind of a business. So mine started with one cow, and over again it's grown. With chicken, I started with 300 chicken. That is very small, even regarding the profits and everything. But over time, I have grown now to doing 1,000 birds every 3 weeks, which is still not big, but it's quite some work involved and some investments involved. As a young person, I had the benefit of having this piece of land from my parents. It's not mine. But then when it comes to location, you need to make sure that you choose a place that is near the markets, because for me, my milk is consumed just by my neighbors actually, and it's not even enough because we have a growing population here. So you need to make sure that you actually can get easy access to the markets. not doing farming so far away, yet the markets are so far away as well, because that includes also having to spend more money on transportation. That therefore means your production cost actually goes up. So you need to make sure that you actually choose a place that is near the market. You need to choose a place where also there is easy access of fodder. Or maybe if you have a land that is far away, then you need to make sure that they're actually not very far away from each other, because that also increases the production cost. In terms of the structure, I just had to improve on this because it was there before. But then I made major improvements on it. So I had the benefit of actually having it from my parents as well. But then even after that, I had to still spend more money on it and making sure that it's actually to what I really wanted it to be.
There are various breeds in the market for dairy cows. There's Holstein Friesian, Ayrshire, Guernsey, Jersey, Brown Swiss, among many others. How did Alphaxed decide which breeds he needed to pick out?
So here I have Friesian cows, and I have 2 Ayrshire's. And my selection of breeds is because Friesians have more milk, but a bit thin. But Ayrshire's have lesser milk than Friesians, but a bit thick. So I mix both milks from both breeds, and that makes it actually have more, it becomes a bit more better quality actually. But then in terms of fragility and how fragile both breeds are, Friesian cows are more fragile in terms of disease, getting diseases and those kind of things. So you need to actually have another cow that is actually better off in terms of disease tolerant, and Ayrshire's are more tolerant than Friesians are. With regards to my calves, I have learned over time that you need to improve your breeds over and over again. So if you look at my cows and my calves, my calves are actually a better breed because I select my own semen based also on my discussions with my vet, because I have a vet. So I tell him I want an improvement of the calf to look this way, to have a better udder, to have a better length, or to be more disease tolerant, those kind of things. So you need to slowly by slowly improve your breeds by doing better AI inseminations. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, to improve the breeds and to get more better calves that will actually be my next best generation. So for me, I value my calves a lot as well. Yeah.
Running a farm is tiresome. Operations such as the actual running of the farm to things such as human resource, among others, can be quite the task. Alphaxed shares with us more on his operation.
Yeah, so currently I'm doing 60 to 70 liters because I'm only milking 4 cows. All the others are in calf and dry. That means they're not producing any milk. So really I supply raw milk, so I don't do any processing here. And that's because also the demand for the raw milk around from my neighbors is really very high. So for me, and also processing 60 liters of milk to 70 liters is not really economical in terms of processing. So the demand is there for raw milk, so that's the best way for me to actually get rid of it and to actually get the market for it. Per liter of milk we sell here at 70 shillings, so that's a really good price. So once it's milked, so we milk 2 times a day. So in the morning before 5, and in the evening before 5 as well. And then once it's milked, it's measured into different quantities that different people want. Some of them are delivered to their houses, others pick it from here. Yeah, so that's basically how everything runs here. So once they are milked in the morning, they are fed, so they are already full by at least 7, latest 7 in the morning, and also latest 7 in the evening, they are already full. And they are already lying to actually start now manufacturing the milk in their own stomachs. So the idea of actually feeding cows all through the day, as we do it in our shags or in our rural areas, where you find someone putting feeds every now and then to the cows, that's not really a business, that's just farming for the sake of it. So you need to make sure that your cows are fed with time, and they are fed enough quantities, not more than they actually need. So mine are fed enough quantities on time, and that's how I get to make more milk or make more money as well.
Much like a human's life, there are many milestones too in a cow's life. In fact, the average cow lives for about 18 to 22 years old. An average Holstein calf weighs from about 90 to 100 pounds at birth. At this stage in its life, it's called a calf and fed colostrum milk for the first 3 days of its life to ensure that it starts off healthy. At age 7 to 10 days, they start feeding on calf starter, which is in most cases a grain. When they turn 4 to 8 weeks old, they're now weaned completely off their mother's milk. When the calf reaches 6 months, it is now called a heifer. The heifers are now fed on silage, hay and grain as well as pasture. On an average, they weigh about 400 pounds and should gain about 1.6 to 1.8 pounds daily. When the cow turns 1 year, it is now a yearling. She should weigh about 700 pounds and still has quite a long way before she enters the milking herd the next year. At 2 years old, the heifer is now called the fast calf heifer. This is because she's gotten the calf for the first time in her life. She's also at the point where she's producing more milk and will keep on producing for the next couple of years. At age 5, the cow is now considered mature and probably has just had her 4th calf. At this point in her life, she weighs over 1,500 pounds and can eat over 100 pounds of feed per day. Her milk production is also higher than when she was a fast calf heifer. She can also produce 12 gallons of milk a day during the early part of her lactation. That is 25% more than when she was a fast calf heifer. An important thing to note is how a cow begins her first culling. Alphaxed shares with us just how he does it.
Yeah, so usually in a good farm, a cow should be able to give you a calf every once a year. I have not been able to get that right yet. Some cows are doing that already. Some cows are giving me a calf every once a year. Others are doing more than 1 year, which is not really good in terms of, because the longer the time, the more money you're losing because of the production as well. So usually for me, when the cow is around 7 months, that's when I start drying it off. So I dry it off at 7 months. So that means we have 2 months to the period of calving, because the calf at 9 months. So within those 2 months, it's fed very well in concentrates, that is dairy meal, and also enough mineral supplements, so that it can be able to calve down in the right way and in the right procedures and without any complications. Because you find some farmers are saying, yeah, my cow calved down and it didn't wake up after calving down. So that's a problem of lack of enough mineral supplements in the body. So they calve down at 9 months, at 7 months they're dried off. Then they start now getting milk again after they calve down. And within 4 to 5 months, latest, let's say 3 to 5 months, they should be able to again show signs of heat. Therefore, they're getting inseminated again at that point. So that should be a good practice. But then sometimes some of them go up to 5 months, which is not the best practice, because then you're losing more time and losing more money as well. Yeah.
There are many universal signs for heat in cows. For some cows, they will mount other cows to show that they're in heat. But for other cows, it's more subtle. Alphaxed shares with us the various signs that he can tell that a cow is in heat.
Yeah, so there are different ways that a cow should be in heat. There are cows that actually show standing heat, where they mount onto the other, and that is, I think, for me, usually the best way to know it's in heat, because then that is clear it's on heat. But there are cows which have silent heat as well, but then they will portray some certain sort of behaviors, such as mucus on their noses, a lot of mucus on their noses, or sniffing through around others so many times, or maybe from behind there's a certain there's something like mucus that comes out from behind. So there are different ways that different cows show sense of heat. Could be mounting, could be standing heat, it could be silent heat as well.
Artificial insemination is acknowledged as a breeding method that contributes to improvement of cattle populations. It allows for maximum use of the most valuable breeders and at the same time for significant increase of breeding advance.
Yeah, so I have a vet who has been with me for the last 2 or 3 years in between, and he's a really good vet. But also I have been very keen on investing in my own personal knowledge on cows as well. So getting catalogs from different breeding companies such as Indicas, Worldwide Sire, all these are AI companies from different countries. So I have been able to learn a lot on the kind of breeds and semen that they actually have. But then in consultation with my vet, I don't do it alone. I tell him what I really want, and sometimes really it's about, when you talk about improving a cow, it's really about some things that you don't like, or some things that will mean more production than actually the cow that is actually carrying the baby. So for example, it could be a better shaped udder, longer teats. It could be the length of the cow, tallness, or the width of the cow. It could be just the structure of the cow. Things that actually should be able to make you have better production than the cow that is giving birth or actually carrying the baby. So I consult a lot with my vet, but then I also read a lot, and I also get a lot of insights from different people who have been successful in this business. So I also visit so many farms here and there to try and see what can I do better than what I'm currently doing.
When we come back from the break, find out how Alphaxed ensures that his farm is disease-free and how he found his market for milk.